Salut tout le monde, my name is Maya and I'm French.
I'm Charlie, I'm American.
And in today's video we're going to talk about phonetics. So welcome to part 3 and we are going to cover la chute du E.
If you haven't already watched our first two videos in the phonetic series, make sure you watch those because we're going to be building off of them in this video. So la chute du E, chute just means tomber, like to fall, right? Or to drop. And it's that like E sound in like de or je. Yeah, it's that sound. So a lot of times in French you can drop that. And there are actually three like levels of French. There's soutenu, which is what the president speaks. It's very, very formal. And there's standard, which is like standard, of course, right? And then there's familier, which is what we teach mostly on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. And sometimes standard is already like a more polite form or a nicer form. So it's a good, it's something we talk about too.
Yeah, but la chute du E is actually standard. I like to think of it like a contraction in English. Like a lot of times I'll say I'm instead of I am, or I'll say don't instead of do not. And it just makes your English sound more natural, right? And that's kind of what I equate it to, la chute du E in French, right?
Yeah, we often talk about slurring in French, and so people might interpret that as being really informal, but actually it's not. It's
not always.
It's not always, but it can be standard, like we're going to talk about today.
Like I said in the last videos, I got all of this stuff from a class I took at Middlebury College. If you want more exercises, there's this book that I recommend. You can check it out down in the description. Some of these you actually might already know, but we're just going to go over them really quick. So the first one, in general, le E final is not pronounced. Like the E at the end of a word is not pronounced. Like la page, la chambre. Like you're not going to say la page or like la chambre. Right?
Yeah, again, it's that thing around syllables, right?
Yeah.
It's just one syllable and not two. So some other examples would be la chaise, la chaise. It's not la chaise, c'est la chaise. Or une histoire drôle, une histoire drôle.
Yeah, those all have like that E at the end.
So it's not une histoire drôle. That's not how we speak at all. It's une histoire drôle.
The next rule, in general, you can't drop the E sound in the beginning of a phrase. Like le cours a commencé, you can't drop that E sound in le. You can't say cours, like I don't know, it's even difficult to do, right?
Cours, no, it doesn't work.
Some exceptions will be je and ce, which we'll see in a second.
Here are some other examples. Ne les cherche pas, ne les cherche pas.
Yeah, you can't drop that E sound. You can't say ne. Yeah, I can't even do it.
Yeah, it's hard. It doesn't work. Or demain il va à Rome. Demain il va à Rome.
Yeah.
So it's not demain. Demain il va. Maybe in spoken French language, but I'm
sometimes.
not really sure. Yeah.
So another thing about this is sometimes you can do it, but it's not like standard. All of these that we're going to give you are like standard. So in general, you're not going to do that. Now the third rule, when you have one consonant that's pronounced, you can drop it. You can drop that E sound. But when you have two consonants that are pronounced, you can't. So an example would be like la semaine. So after the vowel, we have an S, right? La semaine. And that semaine, that E sound, we can drop that. La semaine. But if we say une semaine, because we have an N and an S, we have to keep that E sound. Une semaine.
Oh, so the N in une, N followed by S for semaine, then it's harder to, then the rule is to not drop the E. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So la semaine and une semaine. La semaine, une semaine. Of course, you can say la semaine, but you can say both.
Yeah, I never really hear people say it like
semaine.
that. Like,
yeah, I guess we do slur it more often.
La semaine.
La semaine. La semaine prochaine.
Yeah.
Another example would be la chemise, and une chemise, une chemise.
So even though there's a CH, it's still going to count as like one consonant because it's one sound, that sh sound. Okay. So we say la chemise because, again, we have that one consonant, and une chemise because we have that N, and then we have that CH as well, that sh sound.
Another example, la demi-heure, and une demi-heure, une demi-heure.
Yeah. So some more like practical application of this rule. I hear it a lot when I say j'ai trop de boulot, j'ai trop de boulot. And so even though we have two consonants, we have that P at the end of trop, it's not pronounced. And so we really just have that D. And that's that one consonant and then de, so like that E sound we can drop. J'ai trop de boulot.
J'ai trop de boulot.
Yeah. And it sounds a lot more natural, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's not like incorrect, informal, like really bad French. It's really standard French.
Like I was saying, this la chute du E, when you do it correctly in this way, it's standard French.
Another example like that would be il y a beaucoup de pain. Il y a beaucoup de pain. And not beaucoup de pain. C'est beaucoup de pain.
So again, same thing. We have that O and the U, so those are vowels, and we have that P, which is a consonant, but it's not pronounced. We have that one D, that one consonant, so we can drop that beaucoup de pain.
Yeah, it almost sounds like we're saying beaucoup de, like you have a D at the end of the word.
Yeah, it sounds like it's that D is part of the word that came before it. Beaucoup de pain.
Boulot. Beaucoup de pain.
Yeah, same thing, right? Beaucoup de boulot, beaucoup de pain. Trop de boulot, trop de pain. And this is something I hear French students say a lot. They want to say trop de pain, like or trop de boulot, and it works, but
I mean, it works.
It's totally correct. But when you want to take your French to the next level and you want to sound more like a native speaker, you say trop de pain, trop de boulot.
And I'm sure that's why sometimes French can be hard to understand, like when you're listening to it, because we do that all the time, and you're probably looking for the words, like word by word, but we slur things so much that it can be kind of hard to follow sometimes. So if you can't understand French, maybe that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, definitely. For the next rule, if you have two of those, like for example, je le fais, right? We have two sounds. So we have that je and le. Right, we have those two E sounds. You can't drop both. You have to pick one. Usually, I hear people say je le fais, je le fais. So I always say je le fais. I hear it like that in Paris, but my teacher said there are also people maybe in other regions who say je le fais.
Yeah, I guess so. I've heard that already, like once. But personally, I'll also say je le fais.
Yeah, I probably say it because you say it like that, and I copied you.
Probably, yeah.
Another example would be like je le dis. Je le dis. You can't drop them both. You can't say je le dis. Like,
you need a vowel somewhere.
Yeah, it's even physically just difficult to do. Alright, the next one is an exception. Of course, there are tons of exceptions. So this is an exception to the first rule. When you have a monosyllabic word at the end of a phrase, the word that came before it, if it has an E, like if it ends in that E sound, you're gonna keep it. You're gonna pronounce that E, right?
Yeah, so for example, une table basse. So here, how I say table basse. If you only say the word table, it would just be table.
Right.
But in the sentence, it's une table basse.
Yeah, it's kind of subtle with this one, but you hear it more like une table basse.
Yeah, but we drop the une. It's not une. Yeah, and it's not basse, but une table basse. Yeah, I hope it makes sense. Let's go over some other examples. Un artiste belge. So here, artiste belge.
Yeah, because normally you'll say like un artiste.
Exactly.
So un artiste belge.
Here.
Yeah, it's because we're accentuating that last syllable, belge. It's a little bit longer, that's why. Another example that I hear sometimes, like I heard someone yelling this in our neighborhood once, they're like, oh, c'est juste là.
C'est juste là? Oh, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, it's right here. Again, if you just pronounce the say juste, it's one syllable, juste. And in this sentence, it becomes two syllables. C'est juste là. Juste là.
Yeah. Next is an exception to the second rule. The word je can like chute, you can drop that in the beginning of a sentence. Like instead of saying je veux bien, you can say je veux bien, je veux bien. Instead of je veux bien, you can say je veux bien.
Ouais, je veux bien.
Because normally you're not supposed to drop the something in the beginning of a phrase, but je is an exception.
Okay. Other examples could be je repars. Or je vais y aller.
You can also do this with ce, like ce n'est pas vrai. Ce n'est pas vrai.
Ouais.
Also, je tends to sound like sh in front of petit que feu. Yeah, my teacher always used to say petit que feu. I guess it's really those sounds, not necessarily the letters exactly, like as we'll see in the examples.
Yeah. So, for example, je prends un verre. Je prends un verre.
Yeah, it's not like je anymore, it's sh.
Ouais.
Je prends un verre. And it's not a rule, it's just more of a tendency.
I guess it's easier to pronounce like that because je prends un verre, it's physically very hard.
Yeah.
So it's easier to say je prends un verre or je termine demain. Je termine demain. So we totally drop the je, right? The e, and it becomes je termine demain. If you say je termine demain, I mean, it's fine. It's just something you might hear people say.
But also notice how you said je termine demain, like you kept that e.
Right.
Because it's, you know, I got the two consonants, that N and the D. So you can see how a lot of these things, you know, go together like in a sentence or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Je termine demain. It's like too much.
Yeah.
You can also say je fais ça. Je fais ça. So je fais ça becomes je fais ça.
Or something I hear a lot would be like je comprends pas. Je comprends pas.
Ouais. So je comprends pas becomes je comprends pas.
Yeah. I used to hear that a lot, but I never knew why people like spoke like that or what the rules are. Now you know it's la chute du e. You drop that e sound and it's je in the beginning of a sentence. It's the exception to the rule.
The je can become a sh sound.
Yeah.
Another rule would be sentences with ce que or que ce. The ce is always the one that will have the chute du e. So here are some examples. Tu dis ce que tu penses. Tu dis ce que tu penses. So tu dis ce que tu penses. The ce is the one that gets the chute du e. Tu dis ce que tu penses. Another one, a bit more complicated, is elle ne croit que ce qu'elle voit. So que ce. The ce is after this time, and it still gets la chute du e. So elle ne croit que ce qu'elle voit, instead of que ce qu'elle voit. Of course, you can say it like that, but it's too long.
Yeah, it sounds much more natural the other way.
Mm.
Also, I find that a lot of my private French students, they have a hard time understanding French because they do this so much. They like they say, tu sais ce que tu veux, and it really like slurs together. Tu sais ce que tu veux, tu sais ce que tu fais.
Yeah, so they're like, wait, I've heard tu sais, so I know, and veux, but like, what do I know? Like, so they miss the middle part of the sentence because it was slurred. Yeah, it is tricky.
So that's it for this video. Of course, we couldn't give you everything. We couldn't give you every little thing about la chute du e. It's kind of a complex topic.
Yeah. I mean, we chose like the most important things and the more useful things.
Yeah, it's not really something you can learn through a YouTube video. It's going to take a lot of practice, a lot of listening to native speakers to get this kind of thing down. We hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, let us know down in the comments. Or if you have any other examples of la chute du e or anything you want to ask us about, maybe we'll make a part 2.
If you like what we do here on YouTube and on Instagram, you can check us out on StreetFrench.org. We have e-courses and e-books, and we have free e-courses for you if you want to check that out, try it out, and learn some more. We're super present on Instagram all the time, every day, posting stuff, posting videos, interacting with you guys. So if you want to contact us, usually that's the best platform for us. And if you want to support the project StreetFrench.org and support us, you can check out our Patreon page. We have cool different perks, but I think one of my favorite is the one where we interact with our Patreons. We have a private Facebook group chat with them, and if they have any questions, they can ask us at any time. They can interact with each other. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So if you want to support us, of course, check it out. And no pressure. I mean, do it if you want or if you can, of course. That's it. We're done with the Phonetics series. And we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Salut.
Salut.